Hi, in this video, Frank Turek is answering one of these constant repeated questions, one of the most popular questions that atheists usually ask, which is why does God allow evil and suffering if He's this omnipotent, benevolent, all-loving God? Why is there still evil and suffering? So let's get into this.
Ayo.
Ayo, nice to meet you.
It's a question about suffering. How do you answer a question if someone asks you if there is a God, why is there so much suffering in the world?
Excellent question. I had a question like that at the university, or at Michigan State University. In fact, I knew before we ever got to the Q&A that there was an atheist in the audience, because he sat for the entire 2-hour presentation like this. And I had some pretty good jokes in there. And he didn't crack a smile once. So I knew that when the Q&A came up, that there was going to be some trouble. So I said, are there any questions? And his hand shot up right away. I said, yes, sir. He said, if there is a good God, why doesn't he stop all the evil in the world? I said, sir, that is an excellent question. Maybe because if he did, he might start with you and me, because we do evil every day. You ever notice that? We're always complaining about somebody else doing evil. Why don't you stop him? Why don't you stop her? We never think of ourselves. If God wanted to stop all the evil in the world, he might start with us. And then
This is one of the things that is very common with people. They like to want justice to be done for another person. You want justice, real justice. This person committed a crime, this person committed a crime. But the person doesn't stop to think that in the eyes of God, even though there's categories of sins, you hear the Bible said, the one who betrays me and the one who took money, one has committed the greater sin. So it means that there are categories of sin, but that doesn't remove the fact that it's still a sin. You see, in the eyes of God, every single sin goes under the realm of rebellion. And rebellion is actually the sin that everyone falls under. And because it's rebellion, you know what rebellion means? Rebellion means you have chosen another government instead of my government. It's like the way we say treason. So every single act of rebellion in God's book, it could be from stealing a cube of sugar to killing 16 million Jews. Every single act of rebellion is required that death is the punishment. That is every single one. Every single act of rebellion. But most people think that mine is a small sin, mine is I just lied, I didn't do much. But each case in God's eyes is equivalent of death. So how come you are saying, God, kill this man because he killed another person, but don't punish me because I just stole Maggie? God doesn't see it in the sense of that. So if God were to be acting out the way some people want him to act out, none of us will be here. Let's continue this video. I'm liking this video.
sir, we could talk about that for semesters in here. We don't have that time. I'd rather show you a 1 minute and 46-second video that will not be a complete answer, but will give you a doorway to an answer. So I'm going to show you the video now, the video I showed him, and then we'll go from there. You guys ready? Yes. Okay, let's make sure I got the right video here. Are you ready? You got to pay attention. There's a lot going on in 1 minute 46. Here we go.
Is God good? If he is, why is there suffering and evil? Let's assume for the moment that God is all-powerful. This means that God can do anything that is logically possible. So he can create galaxies and subatomic particles and rainforests and you. But God cannot do what is logically impossible. He cannot make a square circle or a one-ended stick. So can God make a rock so big that he can't lift it? No. So what if, when God created human beings, he wanted them to be free? Freedom's a good thing, but if humans are to be free, They cannot be forced to obey God, because freedom without choice is like a square circle. It's a logical contradiction. No choice, no freedom. God didn't want robots. He wanted real people. The first humans endowed with the awesome power of free choice abused their freedom. The tragic consequences of their bad choice and our bad choices ripple across the world. God is responsible for the fact of freedom, but humans are responsible for their acts of freedom. But let's remember, we don't suffer alone. God will put an end to suffering and evil. And God became a man to suffer with us. God is good, and He wants real people like you to know Him, but the free choice is yours.
Now,
Frank says anything concerning that. He said something so powerful to me, is that without choices, real freedom does not exist. That is why, as Christians, we are actually called to surrender our freedom to God. Hey, Jesus said, take my yoke. Take is light. Take it. The reason why it is so important you surrender your will to God is that God controlling your will means you can't do wrong. God controlling your will. That's why the Bible says something, I think it's in the book of Philippians. It said God walking through you to will and to do. The only time you can do something and it's correct is when it is done through God. That is why one of the greatest thing a man can do is surrender your life, not just in statement, not just to say, I surrender my life to Jesus. No, surrender your life to Jesus truly. Because when you surrender your life to Jesus truly, many of these things that plague a lot of people, you will just find that it doesn't plague you that much. You will just realize that even though suffering is happening around, suffering can even happen to you. Is not as wonderful as the glory. That's what Paul said. He said the current suffering cannot be compared. Oh my God. Cannot be compared to the glory that is to come. Let's continue this wonderful video. Yeah.
now that answer only opens the door, right? It just talks about free will, because in order to have love, you got to have free will, but free will often also opens up the problem for evil. Now, I made a mistake in answering your question. Here's the mistake I made. Normally, well, there's really two answers to this question. Well, there's a lot of answers, but there's two categories of answers. The question I should have asked you back is, why do you ask the question? Right? Because if you're asking the question from an academic perspective, if God, why evil, this is how you answer it. But if you're asking the question from, you've just experienced a personal tragedy, this is not how to answer it. Right? You don't need a philosopher, you need a pastor. So I actually just made a mistake answering that question. Because, you think, I got a good slide for this. No. Wrong answer, right? Now, hopefully, you're not going through a personal tragedy, so I just didn't insult you.
No, it's fine.
Okay, good. But no, because there's a pastoral answer and a philosophical.
This is a powerful video. So, why does God allow evil and suffering? This video has already said a lot in itself. And the main reason God allows evil and suffering is because He had already given the choices to me and you. Many of the so-called suffering we are experiencing is actually the actions of fellow human beings to one another. If you listening to me now that want to blame God, you are not actively living a life that is designed to benefit another person. You are part of the problem. You are insulting another person, you are cheating on another person, you are lying. Let's call a spade a spade. You are part of the problem. You might be complaining about another person that God should stop that person, but God might actually want to stop you first. If you like videos like this, please subscribe, like, share, comment, and God bless you.